3.
Thank you, Bill. All right, we do have a, so if you could please join us as Robin and Danielle lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Brings us to superintendent's report.
Really, not a whole lot, because again, there was a meeting last week, and we had lots to celebrate. But I think we had a great graduation ceremony. It was interesting, lots of my colleagues all over the county were scrambling as they tried to plan their own graduations, but it was, Robin, thanks to a long-standing tradition of an indoor graduation ceremony, we were safe, and all was well. So, I thought it was great. I thought the speeches were making okay. Good. No, really, I think Danielle did a great job, and certainly had their wonderful job. So, all in all, really good year, and just proud of those kids for all they accomplished in their time here.
Great. Yeah, it was a nice ceremony. Thanks for that in the beginning. I don't see it on here, but there's public comment about anything on the agenda. If you wanted to comment now about anything that's on the agenda, you can go ahead and sign the book. There will also be a public comment session at the end where you can comment basically about it. But if you're thinking of commenting, you can just go to the book either. So we'll do the agenda one now. Does anybody have any comments about tonight's agenda?
I knew they were gonna say no, that's why.
That's why you left it off.
Okay. I knew.
It's very possible that
Are you guys talking about tonight's agenda?
Wait, I'm sorry.
Do you have comments about tonight's agenda?
Yeah, we do. Sign up, maybe.
Maybe. Or are you signing the book to speak at the end?
Did you just ask us to sign the book if we have anything to say?
Yeah,
So
There's two
for
public
items that
sessions.
are on the agenda is the first public session,
right,
public comment, and then for items that aren't on the agenda,
that's at the end.
that's at the end of the meeting.
Oh.
So I don't want to skip you if you want to talk about the agenda.
I would like to talk about the agenda.
Okay.
I'll wait for Amy to.
Yeah.
Okay. You want me to stand up or sit down?
Oh,
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay, my agenda, what we are here for is the assistant superintendent's curriculum position. I need to know that you guys interviewed for that position.
This was a promotion, an internal promotion, this wasn't an open interview process.
Okay, my next question to you is there a salary or is she getting an increase in her benefits, anything that's going on with he or she?
It was just a contractual agreement with no increase in salary.
What about benefits?
The benefits are in line with Ms. Lachlan and Dr. Sotos as assistant superintendent.
So when the assistant superintendent take on a new position, I'll just line up the contract accordingly.
Pretty much, right?
And do we have a money amount to how much that would be? As an increase? I mean, is she entitled to that?
Entitled to what?
The increase?
There is no increase in salary.
So it's one to benefits? We're just trying to get clear.
No, I don't understand your question. I just don't understand your question, that's all.
We need to know is what money is being used? Is she getting a salary increase?
She's not.
Or benny increase?
There's
That's
no-
what we're asking.
No change.
No change. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we're asking. So she's just getting a new name?
Correct. And coming out of the bargaining unit as an individual contract. The director position is part of the Center Rich's Administrative Association, and now becomes an individual contract as part of cabinet.
Okay.
One thing that, with this new position, we wanted to know, would it have been a little bit, for lack of better words, moral to have the people involved in this as far as like parents, guardian, administrators, versus it just being a promotion, which is fine, that happens in all different industries. But should it have been more of an input from families and administrators of the school district?
I think it's administrative prerogative. It's something that, as a Board of Education, I think last year when Amy came in as a first-year administrator, we assigned her many more responsibilities than we initially had designed for her because she was doing such wonderful work. She has moved lots of initiatives forward. At the end of her first year, I approached the board and we had conversation about if she continues on this trajectory, it would be appropriate to reward somebody for the hard work they do. And it's not uncommon in public education when you have somebody who's doing really well to reward them. It's a part of a retention strategy and it's a part of just good common sense leadership to do so and promote people from within so that they stay and they continue to do the good work. I think you'd have to agree that Center Merchants has been on an upward trajectory over the last 4 years in terms of what we've been able to accomplish. And I think the notoriety that we've received as a district, I think that's in part due to some of the great work that Amy's been doing. And I'm really proud to have her on my team and I would hate to see her leave us. So.
Yeah, just to be clear, like it's not an attack towards you personally, like I like you.
These are questions that we need to
We have
ask.
the same name, I'm Amy too. It just being in the district, and I've been working here since February, noticing like there's no heads of like the math department and some of the obstacles that I face, as a liaison, trying to figure out, a new set of a task for a student to be successful. I constantly have to go to Ms. Mangone, and she has her list is very, her to-do is just out of control. She was the clerk that was never replaced in that building, so she's taken on that clerical work as well as her duties as a principal. So it's like, all right, we're gonna have a new position here as the assistant superintendent, but like there's still things in the high school and there's issues that's not being addressed. And it's kind of like, it can get overwhelming trying to delegate something so simple as, hey, this student needs extra seat time due to attendance, or they need to make up their work, and I just can't I have to go to a teacher, and the teacher's like, well, we can do this and that, but you have to go to this person. It's a lot of runaround. And I personally, there's only 100 students on our roster from the nation, so I can't even imagine the full school body, what that looks like in terms of those other situations that's happening with other students. So, again, it's not a personal attack towards you or whomever may take the position. It's just that I've noticed, and Thomasina as well, I've noticed, just some things that's disarrayed in the high school and the middle school as well. Again, I'm new, I haven't really seen anything with that elementary, I haven't had too much time, but just to have these things also in order, not just for the administrative staff there, but for the students, because they're confused as to what can be done too. And just having this curriculum, that title and that position, it could be very difficult. And also, with our students and this new position, I went to the Mental Youth Summit, as I explained to some of you guys, and it was the first one I ever had, and Governor Hochul was present at this summit, and one of the things that she discussed is that there's going to be $1 billion put into the budget for children, students of mental health throughout the whole state of New York. So she wants the ratio, for example, we use this money to have the ratio of counselors to students, like 1 counselor to 8 student versus 1 or 2 counselors to an entire school, which is insane. She also wants to bring literacy of social media to help deal with mental health like other countries do offer their students, so they know how they're being attacked or body shamed, acting like that. So there's gonna be some good things to come with the mental health that, there's gonna be funds distributed throughout the state of New York. I also spoke to Anthony, the Assemblyman, Anthony, his last name, in Riverhead First District. And, he's looking to make sure money gets delegated to different school districts throughout. And I just happened to bump into him when we had the conversation. But like these are things that's coming, and these are curriculums that will be added to our school district, which is all great stuff, especially dealing with mental health, our children, social media, bullying, what have you. Shooting is a crisis in school. We know bad things that could happen. So this will be a great initiative to all of our students in the school district. And we're having such a title for that. It's you're gonna have to delegate those duties out because it's gonna be a part of the curriculum. According to what
So I'll respond to a couple things there. First off, we've added mental health staff over the past couple of years each year. Secondly, I'm involved very deeply in those conversations. Seven Ranches is pretty, I can confidently say we're leading with regard to mental health initiatives in the county. I'm the chair of the legislative committee. I am working on what you refer to as Senator Colombo, actually, and I worked with Senator Colombo. We're going to be working on actually writing a bill that resembles a bill that exists in New Jersey for basically media literacy and things like that. So that part of it, where you talk about the literacy for media literacy and social media and all that kind of stuff, news literacy, that's something that we're working on. And as far as the mental health piece, I'm actively involved with many people within the region, community-based organizations, and we are looking to, it's not necessarily a program, there's no programmatic changes the governor's referring to, she's referring to mental health supports and building mental health centers in schools. And that is something that I am really spearheading in the county to try to figure out how best to bring those resources in, and I've had conversations at the highest levels in the state about that.
hopefully she did mention adding like programs like classes to the curriculum in reference to mental health, social media, and how to deal with it. She said she did want to have that.
Right, so that's the part with the literacy piece that I'm writing a bill with Jody Digby.
So that's why when I said, should we have added families and administrators to this conversation is because of what's to come, with the bills that you're writing and the funds that's going to be distributed from the state of New York. That's why I asked the question, should we have families at this question so they can be more aware of what's going on? So, again, it's not nothing to it. It's just what's to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I don't really think that, sorry.
No, go for it.
I don't really think that we're gonna make it clear, we're very active with everything. We talk to the state at least, every other week, where we have a conversation with them. Today, I even had a conversation with David Frank to get his opinion on certain things. I don't try to make decisions without getting somebody else's opinion, so we can approach it the correct way. So I don't want anybody to think we're really not attacking, but we just wanna know. We wanna know,
She's great.
and it's not hard. And am I reporting back? Yes, I am gonna be reporting back because they asked me to report back. So there's no hidden thing here, so I just want you to know that,
We appreciate it. Thank you.
So I guess the.
Oh, no, right, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Me.
Go ahead.
Good. Sorry. I guess the biggest thing is I'm just hearing that there's a lack of transparency. Right, and I'll put that as clear as day, because when you're having a meeting 3 days before a board change, it makes a little bit of conspiracy theories arise, right? Budget presentations go out, you may or may not have had it in there. This has been a heck of a year for us, so I can't tell you yes, no, anything. So I will tell you that Senator Colombo is absolutely looking to do things. We have had conversations when I helped the Unified Special Olympics event there with him. A lot of work has to go into it. I guess the biggest thing is when you look at the new title, because it is a new title, technically, right? It's a new job. So when you change over technically, that's why the question comes for interviews and so on.
I'm sorry, I don't believe in apologizing, it's not attacking anybody, it's just questions, right? That's the reality. Personal is personal, business is business, and that's kind of how it rolls, in this district this year. I've had to say that a few times. A job is a job, and that's why we all get paid to do it. So, I guess the bigger question is there a master plan with the new position that comes in place to address the questions in which we're talked about, the chairperson positions, the people in place? New guidance, another guidance counselor in the middle school besides one guidance counselor, an additional social worker in that building to help out with those kids, because the kids that are coming up, they're experiencing a lot of emotional dysregulations that are going on. I can talk to anybody that wants to talk about that any day. But I've said this 4, 5, 6 years ago, and I'm sitting here again and I'm saying the same question. When the gentleman that was running the middle school guidance counselor position, he had it was 1 to 350, if I'm not mistaken, roughly. You still probably have the same ratio. It's kind of impossible for them to get an academic schedule and get it looked after so that we're meeting the needs with one individual looking at it all. We need more, right? And that's a big piece. When we got COVID money, it was meant to bring in more stuff like that, right? And then try to figure out a way to retain it. I walk around the community, I hear different things, I listen to different things. I don't always believe everything I hear. I ask the questions. I'll sit on camera now and I have to ask the questions. We have 3 teachers that were taken out of the elementary school. I'm not gonna say excess because they're not excess. I don't think they were excess. I think they were just not go. I'm not talking personnel because I don't even really know their names. I hear they were great. That's all I hear, right? So when you hear greatness goes, it's almost like years back when we had that teacher in the 3rd or 4th grade get excess after 17 years in the district. She ends up going back to Comac. I believe she's back here now. But then my question was, okay, we accessed, what are we doing to enhance the foundations in which are currently missing now? And I guess that's where curriculum will come in the future, so that we're not falling behind. Again, go back 4 years, here we are this year, our math scores are low, right? We're struggling. Our reading and writing across the board, we're struggling. I'm not asking about comparison of other districts, because I'm asking the questions of what Senator Riches is doing, right? And I'm not asking it now, I'm just being rhetorical, just to be fair. So I guess the larger question is, when we do a description or we put a job out like this, and we feel that we have someone in-house, sell it, put it out and say, this is our plan, and she's gonna lead us, right? I've sat in meetings, not as much, so I'm not, again, I think it's just sell the job and why. And then be transparent on why it's coming, not 28th, 2 board members changing, and then on the first you go. It's just, every person knows that it creates a conspiracy in which people wonder why. Everybody knows that. That's common sense, right? So we want to look at it from a holistic standpoint so that transparency leads the way that Senator Riches does business, right? And I apologize for the 3 minutes, so I'll stop. But that's the gist. But listening to what they're saying, to me, like, hey, if you believe in her, sell it. Like, tell us what your plan is, especially, you have a director here, you have a director there, you have a director here, this is where we're going, this is how we're doing it. That's just an outside perspective.
We believe in him.
No,
That's bottom line. And this has been a year-long conversation. Clearly, there are personnel matters and things that are discussed in executive.
That's not personnel, that's systems. Remember, I'm asking like cellular
And
systems.
we went from this model to a different model, and we're sort of going back to that model based on just an assessment of the amount of work and the quality of work.
Fair. Yeah. Transparency equals systems equals laid out plan. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, so it has nothing to do, Brian, with us not being transparent.
Yeah.
When we talk about a
If I have
title,
an employee sitting here and they're asking, technically, are we transparent? That's all I'm saying.
right, so when we talk about personnel as board of ed, we cannot talk about that in public.
That's,
It needs to be done in executive session, so I responded specifically to your request to sell the title change for Amy.
but I
And
didn't
the fact that,
remember, I didn't say her name.
None of us said her name.
and the fact that, we're sitting here on June 28th, it was a year-long conversation by the Board of Ed. These are not decisions that we take lightly at all, and it's not something that we were permitted to speak about in public until which point we decided to make the change.
That's not true.
Yeah.
No, personnel, you're not permitted
You're
to
not,
speak
no,
about it.
personnel. Can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
Personnel with names, absolutely. But when you're talking structure systems budgeting, you absolutely can. So I'm sorry.
We've discussed, we've
No,
discussed
again, I told you I wasn't here and everything. I'm just listening. to
budgeting
what's
all
in front.
along.
And I'm allowed to speak on behalf of what I'm hearing
Absolutely.
and say it. That's it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hi.
Did you have something for the agenda or something?
Yes, read out
Okay.
the agenda, and that was great. I'm sorry, I apologize for getting here late, but basically what he said, but I missed. I just want to go back. Can I ask, were those teachers accessed that I asked last time, those TAs or the aides, were they accessed or were they?
Not this is-
Yeah. Can we just hold that till the end?
Yeah,
It's not on the
sure.
agenda.
And then,
It was a previous agenda.
yeah, I lost it.
I'm sorry.
No, that's
I
okay.
didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. But I do support, okay, Brian was just saying that, so the budget meeting, I was here for that, and he was talking about transparency, but I may have missed something. I don't know if it was brought up. Is it allowed to be brought up about, creating a new position for an assistant superintendent? Is it something that?
All right, so
I know you guys were talking about
we
it,
didn't-
so I just want to understand.
we didn't really create a new position.
Okay.
All we did was make a title change to more accurately reflect the work that was being done. It's something that previous board heads have done here prior. We had a business official many years ago, and prior to her retiring, the title change was assistant superintendent for business. And then we had a previous director of curriculum who also, to reflect the work that she was doing, the title was changed to assistant superintendent for curriculum. All it is a title change. Basically a reflection of the work, the amount of work and the quality of work that an individual is doing, and the fact that we thought that title would more accurately reflect the job that was getting done. There's no budgetary impact at all. It's just maybe, I don't know, $8 for a nameplate maybe, in the office store.
May I interject?
Yeah.
Thank you. So it's just a title change,
That's it.
there's no increase in
No.
head.
We're just changing the title. And then as Kerry mentioned, she's no longer part of the administrative bargaining unit as an assistant superintendent. She gets her own contract, which is reflective of what it was when she was in the bargaining unit. So all it is a title change.
And this is
That's
nothing against you, Amy, I just.
Yeah, no, we understand that. We understand.
We
As
know.
a taxpayer in a small town
Right.
alone,
Yeah.
and seeing the budget pass and the tax God, and the upcoming bonds, it's scary.
Mhm.
So I do have some questions. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're very welcome.
This was a recommendation by me as the superintendent to the Board of Education, again, as a reflection of the quality and quantity of work that she's doing. And that if I compared it to other districts around, the role would be assistant superintendent. Not unlike when civil service, we have, an employee that's doing work, we do a desk audit, they take a look at the work that they're doing. They figure out that, oh, no, it's not an account clerk, it's a principal account clerk, and they get those promotional titles. And so that's really what that.
Do we have a budget set aside for her to be able to come in and do the things that she feels are gonna help?
I need to be clear about
Like,
this.
meaning, is there budget, it's like, does she now have a budget that she can actually go and attack what her vision is for the district? Does that make sense?
We weren't building out a budget like that. There is in the teacher's contract, the coordinators, chair people, excuse me. And we have had conversations with the unit about chair people and trying to, come up with.
Building a job description, et
Yeah,
cetera.
yeah, and so, those are conversations that we're continuing to have. We recognize that, building and empowering some leadership from within the unit is gonna help us.
Yeah, it's impossible for her to do by herself.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna happen. It's
So-
unfortunate, but.
All of those conversations, yes, in the scheme of things, Mr. Kennedy, are being had, those conversations. And, as always, I'm happy to sit with you and chat with any of these things and.
Yeah, I look at it from a sport world, it's like you believe in it, then I'm saying, okay, then do we have a plan laid out for her? Because you can come in and do whatever you want, believing it or not, but if we don't give you what you need, then, we're back saying 4 years later.
Again, just to go back to, you were saying about when you, just clarify this for me, because I may be mistaken. When she gets the new promotion and has the new title, it's a new contract, she's under the superintendent contract. And in that contract, no, there's no salary increase, but the benefits don't increase nothing, because you can accept the benefits of $10,000, which goes as insurance, what have you. And if that person declines it, they can just get 2 payments of $5,000 out to So that would be a part of, she's not entitled to that?
No, it's all in the contract.
But that would be in the contract, would be the $10,000, it would be benefits, not a salary increase. And if she chooses not to take the insurance, and she can get payments, 2 payments.
Buyout.
And,
Right.
but
Is that clear?
to be very clear, those are.
No, I want to be clear
And
that,
to be very clear, you know, a family medical plan is upwards of $30-something thousand dollars, so $10,000 buyout saves the district 20. You know, so it's a wise, you know, fiscally prudent move to have those things in the contracts.
Which is in all our contracts.
Most units have that
Yeah,
buyout
correct.
option.
And they are cost savings for the community.
And she's getting taken out of the administrative contract, so anytime we have to negotiate with any administrator in all that contract, as principals, APs, she's in that, she won't be in that anymore, so that won't affect them either, which is a good thing for us as a district, because she's separate. Like, I think that's important for people to understand, because that, we're locked in with that. That's a lot of people have issues with the transparency when we had that contract years ago.
thank you.
Anything
I
else?
thought you had something, no? Everybody's good? Okay, be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education accepts the following financial reports. Treasurer's report, May 2023, student activity treasurer's report, May 2023. Motion,
Motion.
second. Discussion. All in favor? Yes, motion carries unanimously. Donations, be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education accepts the following donations. Play on Sports, $243.80. Suffolk County Department of Health Services, Fellows Air Purifiers, Aeromax Pro Am 4-3 units. Motion,
Motion.
second. Discussion.
So, you know, Play On is just our streaming service that we get those checks on a
Right.
daily basis. And the others for the second, or not the others,
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion carries unanimously.
so the corresponding.
Ron, that's my own sport, that's the stuff that I can forge like outside.
Yeah, so based on the level of subscriptions, you get money back, money comes back to the district. So, and it's unaffordable, it's not a whole lot of money, but it's something.
Something, yeah.
Consent agenda approval. Be it resolved, the motion to approve the consent agenda, items 7A through 9A. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Yes. Motion carries unanimously. Yes?
Yes.
Consent agenda approval of minutes. Minutes from June 14, 2023. Oh,
I jumped.
that's number 7. Yeah, I see that.
Okay.
You know that's right. I'm looking for number 10, I guess. Then. Okay, now we have, oh, that's what that was, all right. Now we have questions and comments. Anything public? This is the opportunity for persons who wish to speak or bring letters to the board regarding topics that are included. Actually, that are included. Speakers are asked to keep their comments brief and to speak no more than 3 minutes. Members of the public will have the opportunity to speak about any topic.
It's Krista again. So the last meeting, that's what were those teachers' aides accessed or they not?
Teaching assistants, yes,
Teaching.
they were access.
That was my question, is Brian.
And can I ask the question why?
Um,
Nobody ever explained.
So,
So I think that's what you're trying to find out.
So we had, I guess to simplify the conversation, we had teaching assistants don't accrue time to their tenure. So we had a problem in our district where we had turnover in those roles because qualified teachers would come in as a stepping stone, they would take that role, they could only be in that role for a year. One of our advocacy points with state ed was, hey, substitute teachers get credit, why don't teaching assistants get credit? And the response was always that, well, they don't have to plan. And I think we know that they actually do, as much as it's not in the job description. So to us, it was always like crazy that they don't get credit. So in order to maintain that certification, it was a revolving door job for our district. And quality, we were losing quality people because we just did not have full-time jobs to give them. And so what we did was we took some of the roles, we looked at our AIS system, our old AIS system, which we refer to as multi-tiered system supports. And we examined the needs in there. And because the other thing is too, we were taking these people and we were giving them some good training also. And, so we would train them also or any kind of other methodology that would be beneficial to our students. And then after a year or two, they would leave us. So it was a drain on our resources. And so what we said was, instead of having them in that role, we could consolidate a little bit and have full-time teachers instead. So we converted those teaching assistant roles to full-time teaching positions. And therefore now anybody that's in those roles will have the same benefit that every teacher in the unit has. And we're able to add 5 teaching units to the Teachers Association.
Okay, my next question to you, are they going into special ed? Are they going into classroom with the children that have artistic disabilities?
In some instances,
Around
the people we were looking to hire were people with special education certifications, as well as literacy certifications, so that they could best support, or mathematics, either way, depending upon which role, whether it was middle school or elementary, so that they could better serve the kids and have a higher level of expertise to work with our more vulnerable populations.
Okay, my next question is, what happens, I have a brother who has cerebral palsy. So I do know that they don't like change. So now what happens with the children who are already been in and with the same TA for already 3 years, and now they gotta make a change? That's going to.
The teachers who are accessed were, I think, a year and a half or less. We're at a disadvantage because Carla's not here, but I believe
Okay,
there was nobody accessed that was here more than a year and a half.
okay, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, so there were no long-term assignments, people.
Okay,
And listen, I hate to access anyone, I don't want to access people, but, honestly, for the overall quality of our support program, this was a good move for us. In the, initial implementation stages, there are a couple of people that we lost that we don't want to lose. And I fully acknowledge that. And unfortunately, it's a kind of last in, first out model that you have to follow by statute in schools. And so that's kind of where we landed.
But we added 5 FTEs,
Correct. But we had 7.
teacher-wise.
Right.
So they're in the teacher pay scale,
Correct.
not TA one.
Correct. That, those particular roles were at the 80%.
So now they can develop curriculum,
So-
instruction, delivery, not just.
Correct. So at 80%, they were teaching assistants. At 100%, they're teachers, but they were 7 guys.
Now they can get accredited.
And so cost neutral budget-wise, but a better benefit to the
And now they
district
can develop.
in terms of-
lessons.
in terms of the level of expertise that we'll be working with our kids.
Now, I guess if there was sour points in terms of certain movements, have we addressed that internally to be able to help with the kids, as I guess as you stated, to help make sure that the kids' transitions that were affected are smooth?
And again, we're at a little bit of a disadvantage because Ricardo's not here. But clearly, every decision we make is guided by trying to do what's best for kids.
Yeah, and I guess that's an important factor to remember, like if we are talking about our neediest populations, our neediest population needs to be sure that we have a transition plan in place so that those students don't lack nor suffer from a change of movement placement, which in theory makes sense. I can't tell you about the rest of it because I'm not inside the building. But the other question I guess I have is, have we looked at our home instruction model and have we tried to align it with the current curriculum that sits in our building to ensure that our current outside tutors are in line with what's going on in the building, so when a kid transitions back in, they are prepared, active, and ready to participate within the setting? Because I can tell you, it's not. So I'm asking the question, have we decided to look at that? Have we made a person become a point person? I was my son's point person this year, and I could have put him in a pink sheet for you guys. So my question is are we looking at that from a holistic standpoint to ensure that a kid is ready to
Happy to have
transition?
more conversation with you and learn, from your experiences so that we can do better if you're feeling that that's something that we need to focus on, we can have that conversation.
Yeah, and I think it's deeper than just one person. I'm gonna be honest, I think it's,
Understood.
you know, you need.
There are lots of models out there, we need to do one that's good.
But it's definitely, you know, it's definitely something that's lagging, especially if a kid wants to, you shouldn't have to have a kid come climbing back up out of the hole, and the hole's deeper than it has to be. You know, so we wanna make sure that the hole is even. So, you know, that was one thing that, you know, I definitely, after coming after this year, concerned me. You know, we did not have a productive model. We had receptive conversations, I'll say that, but a productive model that doesn't put the onus on the home is very critical.
Anyone else? Okay. Motion to adjourn to executive session, the purpose for which is discuss the superintendent's evaluation motion. Second, all in favor? Yes, motion carries unanimously. We will come back out and adjourn public session, but we will not take any action on it. There'll be priority at all when we come back out. So, thank you. Listen, we really do appreciate the community coming out and sharing their points of view and their opinions, and we'd love to see you as we continue on to the new school year. So thank you very much for coming tonight. Our next meeting is somewhere July 5th, and there'll be a reorg meeting and then the action meeting at approximately 5:30 p.m. So thank you for coming.
Congratulations.
Next plan.
Yes.
Can I get your contact info?
Yeah.